Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I know this is the one of the first times that we're doing this type of thing, these little video mini lessons, but I think it might be necessary for me to let you know some things, to review some things with you, and to go over some things and show you what exactly I mean by the following assignment. So let's jump right in. So today's aim is how can we analyze word choice in order to understand motivation in the short story Ambush by Tim O'Brien. Now, this assignment was something that I assigned for you on Tuesday, and it was due yesterday, which was Thursday. So if you have not completed that assignment yet, you had to read and annotate and you had to answer some questions. If you have not done that yet, please pause this video and go and do that assignment first because the rest of this will not make sense as it all hinges on your reading of Ambush. So, few things. We are going to be looking, and I want to highlight, we're going to be looking at word choice, right? And we're going to be looking at motivation. Mostly, I want you to focus because our focus today is going to be understanding and analyzing motivation. So, in order to do that, we are going to go over motivation. Now, motivation, a lot of you were able to describe it very well. You were able to understand what exactly motivation is. But just to have a dictionary definition, a motivation is a reason behind a character's specific action or behavior. In this case, we have a narrator that is telling a story to his daughter, and he's describing all of these different things. So we are going to be looking at the reasoning behind our narrator's specific words and behaviors and his feelings, and why he might be feeling and saying the things that he uh, is feeling and saying. Now, motivation is not something new to us. Way back when we were in the classroom, we looked at motivation in the context of our play, The Crucible. Um, and it was actually an assignment that you guys had where you had to develop motivation for specific characters and give me textual evidence. You talked about, Abigail was motivated to lie because she loved John, and John was motivated to prove his wife's innocence because she was going to go and be hanged. You talked about possible motivations for Betty being, sick to cover her tracks, why Paris was motivated, all of these different types of motivations. So this is not something new to us, but we're doing it not so much with a character, but with our narrator. So it's sort of a lateral shift, if you will, a shift just to the side. You're just slightly changing it up, but you're basically doing the same thing as you did when we did this assignment, which is to figure out a character's motivation, you have to think back to their past actions and words. That makes sense. You knew that Abigail wanted to kill Elizabeth because of her love for John, because in the past she expressed how much she loved him and how jealous she was of Elizabeth. You said that Paris's motivation was to keep power in Salem because in the past he said that he was being kind of undermined and nobody respected him. So you took their characters' motivations and past actions and not their motivations. You thought back to their past actions and their words, and you figured out why they were motivated to do and say the things that they did. You're going to be doing the same thing with our narrator. So, a couple things that we learned about our narrator. One is which he was in the Vietnam War. He was a soldier, and that tells us a couple things. He tells us the time period. The Vietnam War was in the 70s. We now know that our author was a soldier. He was young and he had to do, a few things that he may or may not have wanted to do. So all of this, all of his past actions and words serve as motivations for the story that he tells his daughter. And so now your job is to analyze what he says. It's a very short story. Analyze what he says to give me some motivation. So for your assignment, what you are going to be doing is completing this ambush motivation chart. So the directions state, cite textual evidence and explain what the evidence reveals about the motivation of the narrator. So as you can see here, I've supplied some columns have some rows have textual evidence, some rows have motivation. So we're going to go through the first one together. So congrats, you're going to have the first answer correct. So the textual evidence that is pulled here, it says, someday I hope she'll ask again. Now, out of context, I may or may not remember what that actually means. So I provided you with the paragraph. So what's best practices is for you to go back to your short story and reread that section. So it says paragraph 1. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to read paragraph 1. When she was 9, my daughter Kathleen asked if I had ever killed anyone. She knew about the war, and she knew I'd been a soldier. You keep writing war stories, she said, so I guess you must have killed somebody. It was a difficult moment, but I did what seemed right, which was to say, of course not, and then to take her onto my lap and hold her for a while. Someday, I hope she'll ask again. And here was our quote right here, right? But we're going to continue to read on so we can remind ourselves of the context. But here I want to pretend she's a grown-up. I want to tell her exactly what happened, or what I remember happening. And then I want to say to her that as a little girl, she was absolutely right. This is why I keep writing war stories. So we have this quote, someday I hope she'll ask again. So he hopes that his daughter is going to ask her the story again and ask him, excuse me, to tell her the story again. So why might he ask that? Why might he hope that she'll ask him again? If we continue to read on and we remember from our reading, we know that he wasn't completely comfortable. It's not like he wanted to kill this man. He tells a story about killing this man and being in war, but he's not enthusiastic about it. He doesn't want to kill, he doesn't want to hurt anybody. So we know that he's A, up here it says that he's lying, and B, we know that he doesn't want to kill this person. So perhaps combining those two things, it reveals that the narrator wants a chance to tell the truth. He wants to tell his true feelings, but he thinks his daughter is too young. So this small quote right here is telling us, he says, someday I hope she'll ask again. He's telling us that he wants the chance. He wants the chance to reveal this. He wants the chance to talk about this, but he knows that he can't right now. But he hopes someday that he will. So as you can see, we have the textual evidence and we have the motivation. If you scroll down, you'll see that it changes 1 and 1 and 1 and 1. So I hope that you can use my example here. And if you would like to add on, let's say you pull a quote and it doesn't exactly fit, please don't change what the motivation is that I provided, but add on to it just like I did. See how these are all one sentence? I wrote more than one sentence here because I needed to justify and explain the textual evidence. So especially if it's not something that's super clear and you don't think that there is a very clear connection between them, you can add on to the sentence provided in order to explain yourself, but do not delete this first one, okay? In the instance of where we give you the textual evidence, we're going to do the exact same thing that you just saw me do. You're going to see where it is quoted from. You're going to go back to your story. You're going to find it. You're going to read around it, reread the entire paragraph if you need to. Only if you need to. If you don't need to, that's perfectly fine. And you're going to say what it reveals about the narrator's motivation. So that was our small little mini lesson for today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out or put a comment in the stream. Have a nice day.